Hello, everybody. So, if you are not familiar with that song, then you're not that old. If you are familiar with that song, because it recently was played during a Zoom masterclass I took, and the host had it playing as we all came back in, and some of us were like, "Yeah, I remember that." Others are like, "I have no idea what that is." And it's usually the youngers, the younger ones. If you're not familiar, it is from Welcome Back, Cotter. I suggest you go look it up because that was a very, very young John Travolta in in that show. It was awesome. So I highly recommend it. Show from the 70s. Again, showing my age, but here we are. Welcome back to Small Business Success Talk. I am Christy Smallwood, your host. Oh my gosh, it's been too long, and there's been a lot going on behind the scenes because we are leveling this show up, and not just in like the looks of the podcast little square when you found us. It's everything is getting leveled up. Now, in this first episode, it still looks a little behind me, but you know that there's some changes coming. We're working on the staging of it. We're working on new guests. We're working on so many new things. And I'm very, very excited about what 2025 has in store for all of us because the whole purpose of this show is to highlight small business success. Now, business success just in general, but most of my guests are going to be those small business owners who are doing it. They are every day out there doing it, and they are the backbone of our country. There's never been any doubt in my mind, nor any argument against any of that stuff. And we're going to talk about all of the things this year about people's businesses, best practices, what's going on in the world, how do you navigate the shitstorms, all of it is going to be covered in these episodes. Now, not all at once and not every single episode, but that's why you got to keep coming back and staying tuned because this is going to be a very good year. So, before we even go any further, I really suggest you go ahead and hit that subscribe button because you want to stay tuned for these things. Now, why did we take a hiatus? So, here's where I'm going to tell my own story. Oh, gosh. And it honestly, look, being vulnerable and telling stories like this is never the funnest thing to do because this is not in a tone of I'm bitching to my best friend about all this shit going on. Okay. I am going to share with you a progression of, oh my God, are you kidding me? And that leads up to, we're back. So this show, I actually started producing the show, gosh, back in 20 it looked different and it was under a different name, but I've been podcasting since 2015. And through all of this time and then even getting through a global pandemic, the whole 9 yards, I've been off and on and the show has evolved and looked different over time. But this particular time in 2024, I did not realize things had gotten so chaotic until I literally landed on my ass rock bottom and had to look up and go, "Wait, what just happened?" It was a series of unfortunate events. And I had a I've had I have multiple businesses. I have two business brands of my own that we'll come to that. Two business brands of my own. I am a partner in two other businesses. Now, in that was 24. Now I'm down to one business and one partnership. So 24, like I said, got a little chaotic. In the summer, I spent time helping to set a business brand up and it took away from my own business. So that was some time. And it's like, oh, you know what? I can get back on track in September. Not a problem. Uh, September rolls around and I was in a car wreck, in an automobile accident. it was not my fault. I was rear-ended, but rear-ended enough that I've had my doctors or my social life. Okay. I am still going to multiple appointments a week, and that was September. This recording is in February. So that is in and of itself. It takes, if you know how a calendar works, having multiple doctor's appointments a week and trying to not only own and run multiple businesses, but your life as well. I'm like, I'm super thankful right now. I look around, I'm like, I am thankful I don't have the husband, the kids, the pets, because I can barely keep up with myself right now. And it's just a season. It is just a season. And when that wreck happened, it did snowball affect some other things. And then not realizing, but another snowball was coming my way. So I had one of my business partners decided, he's like, you know what? I think I just want to close this business. I don't want to do this anymore because he had started another one as well. And I was like, huh, okay, well, here we go. And it was at that point because when you're looking at your own business and you're doing multiple things, but let's just say you have the one business and there's an area of that business that you just thought was fine. So you didn't have to pay much attention to it. You checked in and it was all good. And then all of a sudden, it breaks. Like it's broken and you can't fix that and you just need to throw it away. Like it's gone. You now have to replace it. So what that did is it affected the budget, right? As my personal budget for sure, it affected the budget because now there's a whole business that no longer has a budget that kind of funnels into Christie's bank account anywhere. So the mad scramble was on to build back up the other brands so that we would refill that pipeline that had went dry in by August. I was like, September's coming, I can fill the pipeline again. And the pipeline was dry. I was in doctor's appointments. I lost another business entity and my apartment lease was up. And I swore I wasn't going to stay in an apartment. So got the house to rent. But now we're looking at moving everything because I am a home-based business. My team is all virtual, which is phenomenal. We work really well like that. But that means I'm moving not just myself, but also a business. I'm moving everything. So it got really chaotic, and unfortunately, something needed to give. So I decided to put the show on a hold because I also had some other ideas for the show that I wanted to really implement. So my team and I talked about it, and we've been in the works of that, and we're ready to launch. Now, I'm still waiting on some furniture and some background stuff to make the staging for my local guests to be really an extraordinary experience for them. I really want to set that up nice. And I'm just waiting on things to come in. So in the effort of not waiting forever to get the show out, my individual episodes or virtual episodes will just be kind of a plainer background. But you'll see some adjustments and things along the way if you're watching. If you're just listening, you don't even know I got a background. It's all good. So we're calling this the phased approach, which is sometimes what you also need to do with your business. This is what we call the minimum viable product. The MVP. What is that? And right now, this is the MVP. I am the MVP, not the stage. It's the content in which you're listening and getting out of watching the show. So that's the reasons. This is my own little story for just this past year. Now, while I can talk about the chaos, that's not the only thing that's been happening, because since that massive change started happening, it jolted me to be like, okay, now we got to be even more, not forceful, but even more determined, even more resolute is actually a good word for that. Even more resolute about my boundaries that need to be in place so that I can create space to think and be creative and create things because I know the people I work with have a lot of problems, and what I do is help them solve them. Now, do I solve that specific problem? No. I help them figure out how to solve the problems, like literally pulling them back so they can see things differently and then focus their own efforts So I'm doing exactly what I coach my clients to do. I am creating that space for myself to be able to step back, look at this overall entity and say, what's missing? And that's what is the key thing that can help us move forward a little faster. So we started implementing those things in the business. We're creating events and workshops and things like that that give people a quicker taste to what it's like to work with me and my team. And then now we're stepping into the packaging aspect of things because again, stepping back and looking, literally writing stuff out on the whiteboard and just stepping back and be able to see, oh, I am missing that piece. I've customized so much for my clients when it comes to the marketing company that I just provide custom solutions. And yet it's not providing an easy button for the people out there. So if you are in a service business, consider packaging something to give somebody an easy button, an easy entry. Say they've never hired marketing people before. What does that look like in their first thing? Like, what is the thing I know that can help them see a real result faster? Well, I've created that little package. Now, part of the other thing that we're changing around here is like I mentioned before, I have two businesses of my own. Well, now we're merging it into one. So there's more information coming out on that. We're launching the new brand soon. And I've been real nervous about it because I'm even more out front. There's no more brand names to hide behind, and that'll be a separate episode. I'll talk about that more. But with the merging back of all of the services under one umbrella, what that does for my team is it takes a lot of stress off because now we're not going to be shortly as this coming down the pike, they won't be creating content for two separate brands internally. Now it'll just be one, and that one brand is going to have everything going into those channels. And we're building the rapport, we're building that relationship with that brand that has all the services in it because what services you pick depends on the problem you want me to help solve. If it's all the problems, that's coaching. If it's one specific problem, then we do a spark session. If it's marketing, I have a full portfolio of services for that. So really honing in on like readjusting and switching around business models and updating and glowing up the brands, if you will. Like we are ready to literally relaunch everything. So the chaos of 24, while it seems chaotic, it also allowed the opportunity to just change everything on purpose. Where can we get better? What does it need to look like, sound like, act like? How do we function with this efficiently and effectively? So really been in strategy mode, even though it might come across to some of my people out there like, oh my God, she's doing freaking everything. Like, it might look like that right now, but it's strategic. So I'm taking what I call the Gary V approach. I'm just pumping stuff out because I need to be top of mind for you. So even if you don't sign up for a workshop, you're aware of it. Like I've caught your attention. Now you see that I'm doing these things and I'm over here and I'm over there. And I'm like, this is how to turn the waters to put interested parties into my pipeline. So that's how it's been going. And that's why the show's been on a little bit of a hiatus. Now, back to some origin story of this show. I have done podcasting, like I said, since 2015, and a lot of those have been individual, just me and my voice, which is fine. But I really get jazzed when I have a guest because now it's no longer just me talking to the wind. It's I used to say I can just talk to a post, which is it's right here. It's the microphone. But I also pretend that you are literally on the other side of the table from me. You, my friend, are the one that I'm talking to today. So I'm really excited to share with you all the stuff that's going on. So why this particular show and why am I so jazzed about this show? When I first started my business, I had no idea what the hell to do about much of anything. I knew marketing because that had been and marketing, advertising, media had been my background for a good 15, almost 20 years prior to that. Literally since I was in high school, I've been doing marketing and advertising. So, but I've always worked for companies that I didn't have to go find clients. I just did the work. Finding clients, nurturing those relationships, all of that was very foreign to me when I first started my business. And then how do you organize a business, not just the business model and the structure, but how do you organize it internally so that you can manage all of the work required to run a business? And I'm not talking just your marketing. I'm not talking just making the pie. I am also saying the legal stuff, the bookkeeping stuff, the be the janitor day, the tech update day. Like who's doing all of the stuff to run the business? I've also learned it can't be me doing everything. It has been me, but I am capped. As a solopreneur, there's a certain point that you become capped if you are literally doing everything. So, one of the first pieces of advice that I saw in a book somewhere when I started my business was make sure you get a bookkeeper and an attorney. And I did not do that in the beginning. I have them I have it happening now, but it was not so much a horrible lesson to learn, but it was a an awareness over time that, oh, I suck at bookkeeping. I don't like to be doing this every day. It just drives me crazy. I love numbers, don't get me wrong. I love to see money in the bank account, and I'm really good at doing budgets, but all of the other stuff, not my forte. So get help. You can't grow a business by yourself. That also leads into you can't grow a business by yourself. You really do need to get out there, meet people, have those conversations. Like, what does your sales process look like? Again, while I know marketing and I know not just basic marketing 101, I will admit after almost 30 years of doing this, it's hard to keep up with the new tech. Like the evolution of how fast tech and tools comes out is just mind-blowing. It is whew, it is a lot to keep up with. So where I focus is making sure the basics still apply regardless of the tool you're using. So let's make sure that your fundamentals are in place. It's almost like marching band. I did a blog article on that. Marketing is a lot like marching band. Your fundamentals are still extremely important. If you don't have those in place, you can't do the rest. So I felt pretty confident when I started my business. I knew the fundamentals of marketing. I knew how to promote things that should just happen, right? Magically. That's how it happens. Put the sign up. People will know. They come. No, that's only in movies. There's more work to be done. And when I say work, it is paying attention, like having a strategy is really about paying attention to the details. What am I missing? What do I need to do next? What's really going to get me to that next level? How do I make this work and how do I get paid? While I love what I do, like, how do I get paid for it? Great, let's figure that out. So, all of that stuff was in my brain as I wanted to create this podcast because small business doesn't get near enough kudos just across the board or attention. Anytime you see things out there, you're always looking at those people who've made 50 million, billion, gajillion dollars and they've got the jet and they've got this and that. They've been on the cover of Success Magazine, which is awesome. They've paid their dues, they've made it up there. But I want to talk to these people who are still making it. What are you doing on a daily basis to get yourself out of a funk when I need to know that? What are you doing to make sure that your team is in place and on board? I need to know these things. What are you doing to be innovative in this world? I kind of like to know that. That jazzes me. What are you doing to be successful? And what is your version of success? I really need to know that. Because as I grew up in my generation, it again, welcome back, Cotter. My generation was taught it capitalism is not a bad thing, but the way we were taught it is that the only way to be successful is to, and then there was a certain picture of what success looked like, and it was having all of the stuff. That grand amount of money is equal to having all of the stuff. When in fact, When my guests come on, that is not the first thing they say out of their mouth. Money's important. We need that. It's a way to keep score for some people. For other people, it's a way to buy the extra tools that you need. Like it is a resource. That's it. It's a tool to be used to generate more tools in your business. That's all money really does. Because these people who are doing it out here every day, making it happen, are doing it because there's an intrinsic value to why they're doing what they're doing. Their their whole reason to do it is because something about their life needed to matter. Significance, freedom. They wanted to honor somebody that was in the family that went through a horrible situation, and the solution was not there for that person. And now they've created a solution because, right, I love these stories that generate inspiration and motivation and give me more knowledge and understanding of how the business world really works. Corporate can stay corporate, can stay corporate. They have their own culture, their own rules of engagement. How they bring in money is vastly different than how small to medium businesses run. So a small business person is still going to be connected in their community, like hands-on connected in their community. You don't get to see all of the great things that happen because small business people are involved. We literally are running the country from the ground up, is what small business does. What challenges we have are also things that we talk about because coming from those outside entities like a global pandemic or some new political whatever or some dire straits sort of thing, natural disaster, who the hell knows what just happened. But we do have a lot of threats that come at us all the time. And yet, that small business owner is the epitome of the spirit of humanity by continuing to keep going. And that inspires me to keep going. And I want to grab their stories and I want to be able to share that with you, my listeners, my watchers, because I know over time you're going to continue to share it with your friends because it's that important. It's important for us to build this business community to be really rock solid because we're the ones doing it, we're making it every single day. And that's what I hope that you have to look forward to because I know I'm looking forward to the rest of 2025. And we've got some other surprises going along the way too. Let's make no mistake. I'd like to try to make it a little fun as we're doing it because I have speaker friends and they're very helpful. So I'm really looking forward to some of these segments that are coming up this year. Please be on the lookout for some things. Again, like, subscribe, stay tuned, make comments. If there's something that stood out for you in this episode, please comment. Let's create that conversation. Let's keep it going. Let's keep talking about success. Thank you, and see you again on the next episode of Small Business Success Talk. I've been your host, Christy Smallwood.